Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And just so that you know, I intentionally didn't say hello, welcome back to the L.A.M E Book Club podcast. I felt like I needed a break from saying that, so I don't know.
It's December 9th, the day of change,
The day
if you
of
will.
change. The internet. I think that's what today is, National Day of Change Day. Just kidding. I feel like there's a national day for everything, though.
I know. I don't like it. Let's not celebrate everything, I feel like. They have a waffle day, which that was a bad one to bring up because I do enjoy a waffle day.
I was going to say, I'm all about celebrating the little things, but when it loses it for me when it's National Donut Day like 5 times a year. Like, it can't be the same day multiple times. It has to be once a year.
Okay, yeah. And also, you cannot say that you don't want to celebrate things. Like, I know you didn't, but you also can't say that because you made the tater tot ratio day to your ketchup. So
we've already talked about this. I'm not rehashing the perfect amount or the perfect day ever again.
All right. So guess what happened this week?
Tell me what happened this week, Ellie.
Okay. It has been announced that Bloomsbury Publishing Company, the one who publishes Sarah J. Maas's books,
the geniuses that signed her, yes, them.
Yes, they have announced that they contracted her for 6 more books after the third Crescent City comes out in, I think it's December.
No, January.
No, January. Yes. So there's no release dates, but all 6 books are rumored to be a new series. And she is in the peak of her writing right now.
She's also not done.
They're going to be so
ACOTAR.
good.
I know. She's also not even done with ACOTAR. So,
oh my gosh,
so much more Sarah
J.
Maas. I don't think I think my heart's going to give out a little bit.
Same. When I saw that, I dropped the phone. I was so shocked. Not to say she couldn't, but I really didn't think she'd have like 6 more books in her to write because she's already produced so much genius. I feel like, when an artist does one album and you're like, that's probably it for them. And it is because the rest are like, they're not that great. I kind of figured it was the same for authors, but she's going again. We'll see.
I don't know what my life will become when she's not writing anymore. Like, she's such a big piece of my current reality that, or lack thereof, I guess, since I just lose myself in the worlds that she builds, but it's just such a big part of what I do most every day now that I don't know. I'm going to have to find someone else to replace her, and I don't know if that's possible.
It is a hard task.
She's also, the good news is she's still so young. She's only in her 30s. Like,
I know.
She has so many more years ahead of her for writing fabulous books.
A friend and I were talking about authors and how we were saying, I don't know if I want to read this book because the author is only 28 years old. And can we really trust someone who is my age writing a book? But at the same time, we're the age of professionals at this point. Some of us,
we're older than a lot of
mastering your craft. Yeah. So yes, at some point we have to say our age is acceptable to be doing these things. But I've always been like, I'm too young for someone that's my age to be good at anything. Yeah. No, not so anymore.
I think it's also, well, yes, we are also at that age where most people our age are professionals at what they're doing. But I still see myself, part of that, I guess, is I still see myself at 17 sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it is.
Even though I don't feel that young, I just also don't feel old enough to be able to say that I'm in my late 20s. But anyways, I also think books are a little bit different. Like, okay, someone playing basketball, that's absolutely like a talent and a skill, but something athletic feels different. When it comes to like writing a book, it feels like you need wisdom and like years on you to be able to pull, because I mean, ultimately that's how you write books. You pull from your own experiences and turn it into something else. And so I think when it comes to like the author comment about reading a book of an author who's also 28, it does feel a little different compared to like all these
same
authors.
Level of professor to me.
Exactly.
Can you be teaching on this if we're the same age? Do you know more than I would have known at this point?
And I just think it
Who's to
takes a
say? And
very
absolutely they do,
special,
because
yeah.
I don't.
I know nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. That's my story of my life. But I don't know. I just think it takes a very exceptional writer to be able to
Yeah,
produce these as young as she is. And it just doesn't, not every 28-year-old that's an author is going to be as talented. I'm not trying to hate on authors, and I'm not even naming anyone in particular, but I will say I do think Sarah J. Maas is significantly more talented than a lot of authors her age.
absolutely.
Hot
100%.
take.
Sarah Moss says jump, and I say, how high? Off what bridge?
She
Where?
says jump, and I said already did. Now what?
Okay. In other news, and on more personal note, I have watched the finale of Bachelor in Paradise. And let me tell you, it is an eye opening, humbling experience to notice how the girls on this show talk. Not a lot of hate, but at the same time, the word like is used way too much. And of course, I'm one to talk because I use it just as much. So it was eye opening and humbling
Yep.
because now I'm going to try to stop using the word like. I've been trying that the whole week. It is not going well. I sound like an idiot because I'm slowing down my words trying to think of how I would phrase this sentence without the word like, and I'm talking this slow. So, all that to say, this podcast is going to be my little break from that because we wouldn't get through it. We'd be 3 hours in without me trying to say like.
You're just gonna overuse it now. You're making up for
Yeah.
lost time. No, it is humbling. I recognize that on a lot of people. I feel fortunate enough to have the self-awareness to, like you said, like at least be like, wow, and not say, oh, you're so annoying. You say this all the time when I'm doing the same
Mm-mm.
thing. Like at least I recognize it in myself. But I
Yeah.
haven't yet gotten to the point in my life where I can take the next steps to change it. I'm just at the point
Yeah.
of recognizing it, and I know like, oh, there it is. I say like, I say a lot. I say
Yeah.
all right, well, a lot. That's like the easiest way for me to transition things. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll think about it. And I always think about it right before we start recording. I'm like, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. And then we start recording, and it's like I get so into what we're talking
It's a
about,
good
it
thing
goes
though,
out the
because I
window.
lose myself in the podcast that
Yeah,
it's just 100% me.
it's all
Likes and all.
natural, all natural, baby. We're just chumps. Said that last
We're
episode.
just a couple chumps. We're unpracticed, unpolished.
That's why you
Anyways,
love us.
yeah, and that is all I have on the notes from the week.
Cool. Well, this is the first time we're doing this. I have a review of the week. Very exciting on our YouTube channel, actually. Sarah Elizabeth 6465 commented, okay, I love this. Y'all are so cute and funny. I love hearing that I'm not the only one that doesn't read the descriptions of things and just let my mind take to whatever comes it comes up with.
Ugh,
LOL.
shout
Good
out
luck on the
Sarah
podcast.
because
Can't wait to watch. Oh, I know. I was like, thank you so much. That seriously made my heart. I felt like the Grinch.
that
My
makes
heart
my whole
grew two
day.
sizes when I read that. At one,
I love
because
it.
it is nice knowing we're not alone. Like, I feel like there's so many people that are like so good at taking everything in and like
Hmm.
actually visualizing these characters. And I just rely on fan art because I know someone's going to do it.
Same.
And until then, I have my own little version of what I think people look like. And
Yeah.
that's just my reality. It's where we're at. And I'm glad to know that we're not the only ones.
I will do a little shout out to AI because
Yes.
prior to that, I've been reading for a while, I'd like to say, and I would look up fan art and it would be doodles. And you kind of get the gist of, oh, you saw
Yeah.
the hair the same as I did, but it's not a real AI's art. They're real people. They're
I know.
really making real people that look just like the characters in the book, how I imagine them. I love it.
AI, I'm almost convinced is going to kill us one day, but for now, it's doing
But
the
for now,
Lord's work. It's helping. So also that leads me into, again, these comments really help us liking our stuff, following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leaving reviews, everything. It helps us a lot. It helps us grow. We'll also shout out your comments. So go ahead and leave them. If you don't, oh well, I guess, but please do. It helps us. And yeah, so with that, we'll go ahead and jump right on in. This week we're doing chapters 11 through 20. So Ellie, are you
yes,
ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. Well, so chapter 11 opens with Violet getting a letter from Mira. And as Violet's reading it, she realizes it's redacted. This letter from her sister, just a personal letter, is redacted. Who do you think redacted the letter? And what do you think it said, Ellie?
I think it probably had to do with something like we saw dragons on the border or something like dragons. But
Mm,
later within these 10 chapters,
yeah.
it's revealed that Mira doesn't know what
Yeah.
all that is. So I don't know. But I do think Melgren redacted it, or even Dane's dad, General Ados, Captain, what's it, Colonel Ados?
Colonel. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I don't think actually I feel like it was Varish just because of how blatantly
Oh, good point, good
pointed
point.
like he's been towards her. But I actually don't think it said anything that needed to be redacted. I think he did it on purpose just to like
Just to
show
mess with
her
her.
like you can't do anything without me knowing. You can't get
Yeah,
around anywhere without my eyes. You can't even read anything that I haven't already read. So I just
yeah.
really felt like he was trying to do like a power move. But I do
Mm-hmm.
wish we know what she said because I feel like because here's the thing, Mira's not stupid. She's not going to say anything that's classified. She's not going to
Yeah.
tell Violet, especially in a letter, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm having all these thoughts. Do you think Wyvern are real?" Question mark. Like, she's not going to
Yeah.
do that. So I'm pretty confident that anything she said in there was just, "I hope you're doing well. I hope Brennan's book is helping." You know what I mean? Like just really personal
Yeah.
sisterly stuff, and that it was very calculated, the fact that it was redacted. Because, I mean, she even says
That's
the letter was already
such a good
opened.
take. I
Yeah.
changed my answer. I 100% agree with you. I think that that's what it was.
I hate Varish. Gosh, I just hate him so
I hate
much.
him too, but I love him because he's such a bad
I love that he's a
enemy.
good
He's such a
enemy.
good,
Yeah.
evil person. Yeah, so
We love to hate him.
yeah, love it.
Well, and then on that note, Violet is walking towards Tairn when Major Butthole, Varish, stops her and makes a comment that it's ironic that her father was writing a book about Feathertails, aka dragons that hadn't been seen in hundreds of years, and then she ends up bonded to one. Did that feel, I don't know, maybe foreshadowing? Maybe not foreshadowing, but did that feel calculated by Rebecca to add in there to you?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot about Violet's father that we're going to find out
Yes,
throughout
I
the rest of
agree.
this book, if not the next book. I just think he was a man of many secrets. I wonder if he's dead. I know he is, but is he?
Yes, yes. No, no, no. But yes. I don't know. I don't know. I just have, oh gosh, I don't know. I can't decide if I think he's really, really dead or if I think that he's gonna play a role later on with like the
But what did he
Venom
fake his own
somehow.
heart attack? Weren't they all there when it happened? They didn't just get a call that your father had a heart attack. I would assume that some of his family were there.
I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie. I think I don't remember like the details about that. I thought, I don't know. I thought maybe his mom or her mom was the only one that was there and
Yeah.
then
Also,
passed it along. I mean,
it's
I know
kind
he did
of
start having heart issues after he
Brennan.
thought Brennan died, and then
It's also kind of, and don't come at me, a little bit of a cheap move, I feel like, to resurrect everyone important that died.
agreed. Yeah, that's true. He's
So,
probably gonna stay dead. I don't know. I was leaning towards him like legitimately being dead, but I do think that he knew way more than we know of at the time of his
yeah.
death. And actually that might have even had part, I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe he was actually killed and not
Yeah.
like the heart stuff. But I do think that we're gonna learn little bits of stuff from him still as the books go on.
Mhm.
Like how Violet found that note. Like I think there's gonna be more like that as we keep
Yeah.
moving.
Absolutely.
But because actually, next, you know what? I take back what I said about it being foreshadowy because right after that, I forgot. Violet asked Tairn if he knew anything about what her dad was writing, and he said, "I know nothing of your father's research." But and Darna doesn't say anything, and I know
Was
she's
it
supposed.
pointed in the book that Andarna stayed silent during
It
that? Like,
very
was it?
specifically says, "But Andarna was silent." So Andarna might be a
Well,
little tricky adolescent. Who knows? But it feel
Interesting. I love Indarna.
I know.
Her whole story. She's the cutest little thing.
I love how sassy she is in this book.
I know.
I think I like her
I
more in this
expected it
book
to be
than I
so
did in the
much
first.
worse. 100%. Although
Yeah.
I liked that she was gold and cute and tiny in the first one. Now she's large and black and scary, which is great. I love that they grow. That's fine. But I just kind of wish she stayed tiny and gold forever.
I agree. I don't think I mean, she's definitely big, but I still don't think she's as big as all the other dragons, though. She's still
No.
growing. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe. I don't know. Again, we take descriptions very loosely, so she's
We
bigger.
skim if you haven't caught on.
She's bigger in my mind, but still not even as big as any of the other dragons.
Yeah. No, I remember them saying that, or I remember the book describing her as a very large dragon, but still not close to Sigale and Tairn's size.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then later, or Bodhi is walking because Violet's going to visit Xaden. She's on her way for her leave.
Mm-hmm.
Bodhi is walking with her, and they're going back and forth. And he's talking about how he's like, no, like Xaden is really into you, and she's like, just stop. And he's like, I just haven't seen him like this, and she's like, just stop. And then he goes, not even with Cat. And then everyone, like, they both, like, stop, and she just goes, who the hell, or no, he says Catriona, and then she goes, who the hell is Catriona? I love that part. I love the mystery of the other woman, not another woman, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
a past love, because we don't really know anything about Violet's romantic history, and we know nothing until now about Xaden's, and I love that this is going to throw a wrench in. I don't want them to be mad at each other, but I like the drama. So
I like a good little bout of jealousy and competition. I like it.
Because I'm not, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not worried. One, it's not like he's cheating on her. And two,
Right.
it's very clear that he's way more into Violet than anyone he would have ever been into in the past. I mean,
Yeah.
if anything, Bodhi literally says it right there. So that's confirmation too. But because I'm not concerned about their relationship like ending, well, at least because of that, I am very happy that it was introduced. I think it's going to add a little bit of
No, I love
sassiness
when
and everything.
writers add in a little bit of the jealousy aspect, especially from the reader, to kind of make you feel like this is, I don't like this. Like they, SJM did that with, for me at least, with Tamlin when he went to Calamai, and it made me pick another. And it twists my heart a little bit.
That was even different because it was like actively, I mean,
with
he
someone
was
else,
forced to do it, but it was still like, as their relationship was progressing, he had to be with someone else. But I agree, it's the same. Ooh, like, how is Feyre gonna react to this kind of same? I'm just excited to see how Violet reacts to, and I'm also really hoping, or I was really hoping, that Cat would be like another lieutenant or something, like someone
high up in the ranks.
Yes, someone that could just like destroy her publicly if she wanted to, and then Violet was gonna overcome it somehow. But that was just all these thoughts were swirling through my head.
Thoughts, as soon as, who the hell is Catriona?
Exactly.
100 thoughts into my mind.
Immediately. Okay, and then earlier in this conversation, before he brought up Cat, Yaros casually added in there that Bodhi winced as his fingers grazed a dark bruise on his jaw, which now also I'm wondering why Violet didn't comment on that when they first started talking, because that was like right in the beginning of their conversation. She didn't say anything, but whatever. And then he mentions that someone tried to kill him twice in the bathing chambers. And at this point, I might not be remembering the numbers exactly, but at this point, that puts one person out of the 8 of them that came back as dead. The friar burned him. And then now 4 assassination attempts. 2 of them we learn about on like literally the next page. I'm just jumping ahead. But like Bodhi, Violet, Imogen, and Aya, like we learn about Aya and Imogen in like a couple pages or whatever, but all of them are very specifically being targeted. So that made me start thinking. I mean, I'm not super surprised, but then at this point I'm like calculating. I'm like, oh, okay, because I feel like this is the first time that maybe I'm not, again, remembering correctly, but I feel like the first time I read it, this was the first time everything was like starting to come together about like, oh, it's not just Violet, they're all being targeted.
Little Miss Skepticism coming in to say some words.
Oh, it's fine.
I kind of actually didn't like this narrative of I liked that it was clear, Varish was more than likely the one coming after them because
Mm-hmm.
they know something that they shouldn't, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're just walking the halls and they shouldn't be. That's fine. That part of the story is fine. But how everyone's reacting to they tried to assassinate me. It's not the worst thing in the world. The entire first year people were trying to assassinate them.
Not
Every single day.
exactly, not the same, not at all the same. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one because
Okay.
during the first year, the threat of them being killed is very high, but it's all in controlled settings. It's like fight hard enough during a challenge or you might die if the other person's stronger
Yeah,
than you. It's not, hey, I'm taking a shower, gotta watch my back because people might jump me. Like,
that's true.
I mean,
But
maybe
I
to some
just
extent, but it's not.
because we read it from Violet's perspective, and she was getting attacked in the while she was sleeping and
Yeah,
possibly in the woods.
I
All these
guess.
threats where anyone could pop out at any time. To me, it was just kind of anticlimactic, I guess. I feel like it was meant to be way bigger of people are trying to kill me. This is ba ba ba. But
Yeah. Yeah,
for
I get.
me,
I see that. I think it's
for
also different
me,
though
eh.
because, like you said, it was from Violet's perspective, and she was the only one
Hmm.
getting attacked. This time, she's also getting
Everybody
attacked, but
is.
now everyone else is
Yeah.
too. And so, I don't know. It did feel different to me.
Yeah.
And I like that it added intrigue. I think I wanted to keep reading because I wanted to know. Well, one person's already dead. It's not like, oh, no one's actually gonna die because they're just getting attacked. They're all gonna live. Like the first person was dead after the fire.
Hmm.
Like so, I genuinely am concerned at this point that not all of them are going to live after one of these assassination attempts. And we're kind of at the point, maybe not with Aya, but like with Imogen and Bodhi, like I'm starting to really like
Do
them. Like we're already starting
do
to get to know
you
them
feel
more.
like they're picking off people one by one and they're going through all these battles and all these challenges or even the random assassinations? People are dying one by one. Do you ever feel like, how are there any people left? I just feel
Oh yeah.
like people are dying left and right so often. And even the eight, they're picking people off. I just seriously am wondering, with the graduating class, wouldn't it be better to have numbers that are willing to fight rather than really, really skilled writers that survived all this?
Yeah. I see both sides. I see what you're saying. I don't, for me, as far as like the number of people dying, I
Hmm.
don't understand how more people aren't paying attention and like starting to question who's dying. If it's during a
Hmm.
challenge or like the gauntlet or whatever, like that feels different because everyone's doing it. But like how these people are randomly just starting to have bruises. I think we touch on it in a second, or maybe I don't remember if I had it to the outline, but like at one point, it was either Professor Carr or Professor Kaori, one of them like just makes an offhanded comment while they're teaching about how it's been like a really rough start to the year, like haha, like, but it's not. I don't know. It. I'm surprised that more people aren't questioning things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but on the flip side too, and we don't. It talks about it later in these chapters, but like there is a point to it. Like Violet says something to Rhiannon later about how you like it watching her friends die, watching all of
Hmm.
this happen prepared her for what she needed to do when she had to fight, when the time came when they were fighting
Yeah.
the wyvern, and when Liam died she had to leave him to keep going, and if she hadn't, they all would have
Yeah.
died. And so
Right.
I don't know, it feels like a necessary evil to me, but I'm just a little bit more surprised why more people aren't questioning like
Oh,
the
this is
frequency of
where,
it.
so this is why we need to have these conversations, is why we do the podcast. Because within that same chapter, if not maybe two chapters later, Violet says, someone said, didn't Liam die and like you were fine? She was like, yeah. And I cried like a baby. And then even thought to herself, shoot, I shouldn't have said that after just having told Rhiannon that this training
Yeah.
prepares you for this. So she even kind of goes back, and when they later on meet the Flyers and they go through this stuff, the same battle kind of goes through their mind of, because the Flyers, they don't have the same, we have to walk the parapet and it's life or
Yeah,
death. If they fall into water. So
they
they're
don't
not killing
die. Yeah.
people, yeah, just to train them. And so I think that battle is in Violet's mind of, why are we being sent to this death camp when we could
Yeah.
get the same training and not be killed? And so I feel like I do agree that, yeah, it hardens you for battle if your friend dies,
Hmm.
but it was just proven with Violet that even when her friend died, she took a couple extra seconds to cry.
That's
So,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
and that might actually end up becoming more of like a controversial theme maybe in later in the
Yeah,
books
maybe in
because it's
the
like
other book.
like you said, or like I said earlier, I see both sides. But to
Mhm.
your point, sure, it might make them like more hardened warriors, but it also hardens them as people. And
Mhm.
I guess that's kind of maybe what Navarre wants. They want them closed off and hardened so that they're not thinking too much
Right.
and they're not questioning things. So maybe there is like a little bit. I don't know if we're like getting way too deep
That makes
here,
sense, yeah.
but maybe there's a little bit of like even a
Like a
underlying
brainwashing
reasoning.
type of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
So that, when they find out that the wyvern, well, a lot of them, they found out about the venom and all that, and then they still decided to, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's
um
continue on.
yeah. So Major Turd, I'm gonna call Major Varish various names of other things throughout this podcast episode, so just stay with me. Major Turd shows up right before she's about to leave to see Xaden and searches through her backpack. Did you think at this point he was looking for anything in particular or just being annoying?
I thought he was I thought he would search all of the 8 that, or whoever was left from is it Resin that they
Yeah,
fought the venom?
yeah.
I thought he would search any of them to see if they were allying with the Flyers, since he obviously
He
knew what was
knows.
going on. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very clear in his icky actions that he knows what's going on. And
Well, and
so
also
I
because
thought he
we
was maybe
know.
searching for weapons or something
Yeah,
being moved out of Navarre.
yeah. I also think it's because like we know what's actually going
Yeah.
on, and we know that a certain level and up of leadership knows.
Yeah.
So that I
So
think
it's
it
got to
is.
be him.
It's pretty
The math
obvious.
is mathing.
The math is mathing. I just thought he was being annoying though, because earlier, well, maybe like I'm gonna be annoying, and if I find something great, like,
Yeah.
but earlier in this book, I can't remember who says it, but someone says like, do they actually know that like what you're doing? And it's like they suspect. Xaden says like they just suspect, like they don't
Yeah.
actually have any proof that he's giving weapons to the Griffins or whoever and
Yeah.
whoever they whatever. But um yeah, I was just curious if you thought he was just being annoying. I think it kind of was like a
I think he's always annoying, but he
he's
also had
always
actions behind that were more malicious.
to me it just felt like I'm just gonna do everything I can to break her mentally, and if I find something along the
Yeah.
way, great, then I can actually cause harm.
Rebecca Yarros did such a good job writing his character, because truly, anytime I read his name, I felt like my skin was tingling. Like, he's just
Hmm.
so
Icky.
disgusting and awful. Anytime he came around, my heart sank, because I'd imagine myself in Violet's position,
Hmm.
thinking, this guy's coming after me again. What kind of torture is he going to inflict on me again? What
Yep,
is he going to say to me? Because he's so high up in leadership, he can do whatever he wants.
I know. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
wild. So then Violet, at that point, after Varys searched everything, didn't find what he was either looking for or not. Knows that Bodhi walked her out to Tairn on purpose because he thought that that might happen. And then we learned that they hid the shipment of. Violet says she doesn't know what it is, but I feel like it's pretty obvious what it is.
Yeah.
On Tairn, and they did not search Tairn, which was good. And also, at first, I was like, why would they search her bag and not Tairn? But it makes sense to me actually now, like rereading it, because typically, like they're always watching Violet. They know when she's
How could
walking
he
out.
have searched Tairn? I thought that was
Well,
a sure bet. He wouldn't let anyone get near him.
well, so that's where I was. At first, I'm just like, what the heck? But then I realized, one, they're always watching Violet. They knew when she was walking out there. Like they
Hmm.
know what she's doing. So they know that she hasn't seen Tairn, so they're not worried about. And their Tairn is terrifying.
Hold
Like
on. Are you saying Tairn?
Tairn, I think I did say Tairn on accident because I was going to say terrify.
Apologize to the listeners.
I am so sorry to everyone. I was wrong. I did say it incorrectly. Tairn is terrifying, and they're like, there's no chance he's gonna let anyone touch him
Yeah.
to put anything on him. So if Violet's not doing it, there's no way he has anything. So I
Oh,
love
also, I
that
just
he
was in the mindset that leadership couldn't get near him. If Violet did put
also.
something on him, leadership wouldn't go up and check his back. First, he's so high in the air, you couldn't see a couple bags up there. Two, he would torch them before they came close to him.
I think at that point, if leadership really wanted to, like, quote unquote, search him, they would just have their dragons do something. No, I mean,
But
Tairn could
that's
destroy their dragons, but
exactly. I thought that too, because I thought, oh, but it like Solace could go up and check. He would kill Solace too before anyone got near
yeah,
him. So
which would
Taryn's a
in
little
turn,
feisty, and
I
I
know,
love him. Again, it holds true through this book too. Taryn is my favorite character. I
uh,
love him.
he's not there yet for me, but I have comments on that later. I have comments on
Okay.
that later.
Okay.
So, but then, anyways, Violet's pissed that they're not telling her anything. Understandably, she likes to know what's going on, and I get it. So then Violet claps back and says, my favorite quote from this chapter: stop using me like I'm some sort of game piece, Bodhi. You want my help? Ask for it. And don't start on me about my shielding abilities. There's no excuse to send me into something unprepared. Damn straight, Violet. There's no excuse. I mean, I get their concern, but there's a difference between giving her information that she just can't tell anyone and not telling her about something that's about to happen that she might get like harmed
Yeah.
in the process of. So I'm right
Exactly.
with her. Totally get it. Violet,
Yeah.
every right. So Violet is finally able to leave. She gets to Samara only to find Xaden fighting another lieutenant. And I'm obsessed with everything that happens next. I was obsessed with the way that Violet was staring at him the whole time. I was obsessed with the way that she wouldn't even stop staring at him while she's talking to this random other lieutenant that she doesn't know. She's never met this lady, but she's just talking to her and staring at Violet. Like, that's honestly so rude if you're like in the other girl's position, but because we're in her head, I'm glad she didn't. I liked it. I liked the attraction that was so obviously there. I also
I personally hated this scene.
what?
I thought it was so cringy. I thought it was
No!
so cringy. I
Oh
did
my
not
god.
enjoy reading that. I wanted to skip pages. I was
No!
just mm.
Ellie. I mean, this is why I read these books. For these little tidbits of just romance. This
Yeah.
is what keeps me going.
I
I don't
do
know.
like though when I do feel exactly how you're describing when you read it and you're just like, "Ooh." I do
Yeah.
get like that with a lot of different scenes. This was not it for me. This
Uh,
was not it.
the confidence that she had in him, the fact that everyone mostly voted on, I don't even remember the other guy's name, the other lieutenant to win,
Mhm.
but she was just like, no, he's literally just playing with him. Like, she just knows him so well. She knows how he
Yeah.
fights, and she's staring at him because he's not wearing a shirt. And there's a lot that AI can produce, but there's also a lot that you don't need AI for. I could imagine that pretty easily. that was not hard for me to imagine.
All right.
And I loved it. And I loved that she speaks with him using their bond for the first time. She's like, "Stop, just end it,
Mhm.
just go." And oh, and then he was always so violent. One of the only times I liked when he uses that word. Were you happy to have their like secret conversations back though?
Yes, I just wanted them to make up.
I know.
Just stop fighting. I feel like Dwight Schrute when Jan and Michael are fighting in the car. I say this to all my friends anytime they have a mild disagreement. They could say, "Do you want salsa tonight?" And the other couple or the person say, "No, I want guacamole." And I'd be sitting there and say, "Don't break up, you guys."
I actually can attest to this. Both Ellie and Grant do this to me and Zeke all the time. We'll just be like having a conversation where even over the phone, it's not even we're not even together, and I'll ask Zeke something and he'll be like, "I don't think so," and then they'll be like, "Stop fighting, guys. Don't break up." I'm just like, we weren't even fighting, but I'm like, it actually is a really
So,
good way out though from whatever
oh
conversation
my
we were
gosh.
having.
It's literally one of my favorite jokes. But that bled into this. I
Yeah.
just stop fighting. Just make up. Be in love again.
Well, for a hot second they are, and the passion is back, baby, and it was steamy. Pun intended, because they're in the bathroom
Oh,
and
that
there's
was
showers.
this.
That was this.
Oh.
Yep.
What a good
Except
transition.
I know. Well, and I love that Violet said, hypothetically, if I wanted you to kiss me, but only kiss me. And then he kisses her before she even finishes the sentences. Ugh, swoon!
That did do that to my heart. Mm-hmm.
The beginning at least of this scene is exactly why I loved reading about men written by women, because they just get it. Women get it. They know what we want. Guys
They
don't,
know
and
what's in
that's
our
fine.
brains.
That's fine. They don't need to know. That's why we're
Oh
different.
my gosh.
But women get it.
This is the perfect example of that reel that goes around. Everyone's seen it, where Barbie's sitting in her car and she's singing,
Yes.
and it's like the fictional men I'm reading about, and then the husband who's in real life pops out. She's like, ah!
Yeah.
That's me reading these books. When
Yes.
Grace's like, what'd you say? Ah!
Yeah. You're ruining it. Stop talking.
No.
But then Xaden stops because he wants her heart before he wants her body. And if I didn't swoon before,
So I know.
I hated it, but I loved it. If you
I
understand,
know.
I loved it, but I also was like, no, because then it starts. I get it. Violet was frustrated that she couldn't trust him, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I could have resisted him and the effort that he was putting in to show that he loves
Yeah.
her. I really don't think I'm as strong-willed. I'm very strong-willed, but I don't think I'm as strong-willed as Violet was. I'm glad from like a female's point of view. I'm glad she was holding her ground and not just giving in. I just think I'm weak. I don't think I would have been able
It's
to.
a good read. It's a good story. It's noble. Is it realistic? No.
No, exactly. I I'm glad, or I wish it was more realistic for lots of women, but the way
It
she
might.
just
You know what? We can't say that. It might be.
that's
Props
true.
to you if you're out there,
Way to go,
but
strong
it's not
women.
me. But it's not me.
Couldn't be me. Wish it was, but I'm proud of you. Proud of you, ladies.
Yeah.
And then we learn more about the alloy and the daggers and the process of making them and how the alloy extends the words. That part was honestly, I was still recovering from the shower.
Yeah.
So
Who the
I
freak
was like not
cares?
really.
Skip through the alloy. Okay, move on.
And then when Violet gets back, she's punished for in Darna not showing up to the last formation like Major Poophead wanted her to. And he forced her to wield her signet 41 times, which,
Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite parts of the book thus
yeah,
far. Because hate to say it, everyone, I still haven't finished.
Ellie!
But I know I'm trying. I know I said this last podcast, but I am trying for this weekend. Look, I've got a lot going on. A lot of TV has come out since. A lot's happening. Anyways,
I couldn't even think about anything else. I had to finish.
I think about it.
I had
every
a hard
minute.
time remembering to feed my children when I was reading this because I was like, what is. No, I'm just kidding. But.
I know.
No, but yes. There were a couple times where I'm like, oh shoot, it's 1:30 and we haven't eaten lunch yet. But
1:30 is not a bad lunch time.
no, but when
5
they normally
p.m.
eat
I'd
at
be
like 12. Okay, but normally they eat at 12 and they eat. I mean, the little one eats like every like 3 hours. That's pretty much cutting a meal off, essentially.
Oh, well, feed that baby.
I know.
But no, I loved this scene because this is truly when you just are out of your mind,
Yes.
angry that Varys is pulling this stunt. And
Yes.
even Professor Carr, right, was like, hey, she might be done. I think she's good. No.
He's
another.
Even like, I've only ever seen her wield it 20. I mean, at this point, they were at like 30 something. But he's like, I've only ever seen her wield it 27 times in an hour. Wink, wink. Maybe we should stop.
I'm gonna just say this. I know you love her. I know everybody loves her. I like her. This made me mad on Violet's behalf because she could have stopped. She could have said, I can't do it anymore. Fought back something. Tairn could have come up, intimidated something. But she just kept saying, okay, one more. No, don't come in, Tairn. I can do it. One more. And she nearly burned herself out until she got to that point of burnout is when she said, I shouldn't have done that. I'm so sorry. Xaden, Sigale, Tairn, all of this is my fault. I shouldn't have done it. Figure that out 2 times ago.
Okay.
Or you act like you're burning out. Act like it. Acting.
She could have. Yes, okay. I agree. She probably wouldn't have had to act too hard that she was already at burnout. But you act as if her friend is telling her to do something and she just can decide to say no. Yes,
no.
You said she could have stopped. She could not have stopped. They are literally like, if she didn't do exactly what he was saying, she would have either had to start all over again, or he actually at one point even says, like, unless you want to spend the night in the barracks, like, something worse would have happened if she didn't just keep
Sure.
doing it. So there,
He did hold things over her, but I struggle with the power dynamic here because ultimately Tairn is stronger than Solace. The human is not stronger, like the humans are not stronger than the dragons. So the dragons
yeah,
have the final say when they're bonded. So Tairn could have had his teeth around Solace's neck again and said, You will stop
that
this.
doesn't happen yet. That happens in a little
I know.
bit.
Oh, okay. But
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 regardless, you're right. He could have, and Tairn didn't do anything. So
yeah.
I don't know. I just think
It
there's a
was
time and a
just
place, and this was not. I mean, granted, she was about to die, and I think if she,
yeah.
I mean, Tairn was telling her to stop. He was like, "Stop," and she wasn't listening to him either. But he would have. He can tell
But
where she's at.
exactly the reason. She should have stopped. When Tairn said stop, she should have stopped.
But he would have stopped the situation if he knew she was gonna die. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He would die. He's not gonna just let her. Like
But
he
they
was
almost did because she did reach that near burnout point, 0.01 away
near,
from burnout.
near. Just gonna throw that. Anyways, I'm just saying. I don't think it's as. I understand that she bothers you sometimes. I just there's very few times in this book where she does things that bother me, and that was
I
not one
know.
of
I
them.
know you love her. I know it. It would if someone came after Tairn for me, I would fight to the death as well. So I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, but I don't.
yeah. No, no, but yeah. I'm gonna keep saying that. No, no, but yes. And then
Mm-hmm.
my heart broke when Violet was recovering from burnout, and she said, "I want Xaden. It's illogical. He couldn't have stopped Varish. I don't need his protection." Which, personally, I would beg to differ, but I don't need his protection. I don't need him to carry me back to the dorms. I just want him. He's the only person I want to talk to about what happened on that mountain. Ugh, knife, meat,
Ugh,
heart. Oh my goodness. I just. This
I
is
know.
actually probably the only time I'll ever say this, but I hated the miscommunication between the two of them, but I kind of like 5% liked it. And it's just because it builds that like yearning, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
because at least in her mind she's honest with herself. Like she's
yeah.
not like I don't know. I don't ever want to keep comparing this to Akatar. I just feel like it's the easiest thing to do. But even when Feyre was like denying herself, she's like, no, no. Like even she was lying to herself. She's like, I don't. I really don't. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
just even her internal dialogue was like, I guess maybe I want him, but I really shouldn't, so I'm not going to. Where at least here, Violet is very, very honest with herself, and it's like I
Yeah.
just want him. I wish I didn't. It doesn't make any sense, but I do, and I just want to talk to him. Like
It's a
that's
very
just more
relatable
realistic. Yeah,
sentence because I feel like we've all been there where you just want that one person and it doesn't
yeah,
matter what anyone thinks or what's gone through your head and what you've been through. You just are sad and you're just I just want them.
yeah, exactly. And
Mm,
this, you're right, super relatable. I've related to this in the past, so I liked it, and it made
yeah.
my heart break at the same time. But
Uh-huh.
then the chapter ends with Ree, Sawyer, Riddick, and Violet getting ambushed in the hallway and having bags thrown over their heads. Did you think that that was? I didn't know what I thought, but I was like, oh no, if they're like gonna kill people, like her friends are getting dragged into this and they didn't even do anything. But I
Yeah.
was glad to know that it wasn't.
I know. I was so relieved when we found out that it was RSC, but I did think that Varish was up to something else and he's
Mm.
capturing her friends to do some making Darna show up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that we like so immediately learned the truth and that it
Mhm.
wasn't like what we thought. And when they said or something, she woke up and she heard a woman talking to, and then it's like dot 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 Professor Grady question mark. When he was involved, I was like, okay, they're fine,
Yeah.
they're safe. This
Yeah.
isn't one of Varish's schemes, like,
Mhm.
um, but I also was the relief that I felt was short lived because when Tairn told Violet that it would be an assassination attempt if they weren't back the next day when Sigale showed up, I remembered. I mean, we don't know what day of the week it is in these, unless
Yeah.
they say it. We have no idea. But it did dawn on me like, oh shoot, this is the next day is when Xaden and Sigale are going to show up. And then my heart dropped again because I'm like, maybe Varish wasn't behind them getting hurt, but he absolutely was behind the
The
scheduling
timing.
of that so that
Yes.
it would keep them
So that they
apart.
couldn't see each other.
I know.
Yeah.
And that was starting to irk me that
No,
they were
it made
keeping
me
them
so mad.
separated.
Okay, slight side note. I have the same feelings about that Varish keeping Xaden and Violet apart by scheduling differences as I
Mm-hmm.
do about Interstellar, the movie. And I relate this back to, when you're a kid and your friend wants to hang out and your parents are out and about doing errands or whatever, and they say, oh, yeah, you can hang out if we get back in time. So you're hoping with all your
Yes.
might that they will get back in time so you can see your friend. And they're just moseying down the freaking Walmart aisle like nothing's,
Yeah.
like your social life is not on the line. And and so same with Interstellar you just want him to get back to his family, but they're
Yes.
wasting time down there on the planet. And it's just, same here. You want them to be together, but they just keep separate. That's just the timing is wrong. It irks me to my bones. So I loved it. It pulled that out of me.
I hated it so much, which is why it was the best. It was
Any book that gets those emotions out,
yes,
it's a
that's
top
true.
tier book for me.
I agree. And
Yeah.
both Fourth Wing and this book made me feel a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's very much, I would say, top tier writing because you're so frustrated reading it, but not
Mm-hmm.
like the perfect amount. You're not too frustrated where you're like, I'm DNFing this book, like this is annoying,
Right, right,
but
right.
you're frustrated enough to where you're like invested because you need them to get back together.
Yeah.
Um, when Professor Grady gave them water, were you immediately suspicious? I
Yes,
was. I'm going to answer
yes,
this for you.
because they don't talk about drinks or food often unless it's freaking laced with something in this
True.
book.
Honestly, I didn't
So of
even.
course, when I got water.
That's actually such a good point. I didn't even think about that. I think I'm skeptical of everything and everyone. We've talked about this before. I'll
Yeah.
never not be, but like you said, I guess maybe on a subliminal like level, that was why. But I'm like, why would they specifically point out the fact that they're getting water? And I'm also like, at this point, we know it's RSC. The whole point is land navigation / torture. I'm like, is this the land
Yeah.
nav or is this the torture? Like, we don't
Yeah.
know what yet. We just know that they're not actually trying to be killed.
Mhm.
So I was like, don't drink the water. And she's like, and we drank the water. It was refreshing. And then it had a florally interesting taste. I'm like, no, something's
There it
happening.
is. And there it is. Yeah.
I was right 3 sentences ago when I had this thought.
It's so frustrating.
But I understand. Okay, I understand that different military branches like get like or sorry, I don't understand them the same way you do. Like I understand they're different, and I'm sure that there's like a level of superiority between all of them. But
Mm.
you and Grant understand that way more because you guys lived the military life. Do you understand why the infantry cadets and the riders couldn't get past their own differences for literally just 24 hours to try and work together to get to the extraction point?
I truly don't know if that's like necessarily a military thing as much as it is you're mingling two groups of people who are striving to be the best at what they do and think that they're the best. You're dealing with two groups of very cocky people
I
and putting them
guess.
together to work together. I think it's a people thing more than a
But
military related thing.
no, it felt very pointed that it was like a ranking thing because
Yeah,
the like infantry cadets immediately have their guard up because they think that riders are superior, feel like they are superior, and they
sure.
do. So it's like I have to prove that infantry isn't as lame or as like weak or anything as you think that we are. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
riders are like upset that they're having to have their signets cut off, their connection to their rider or dragons cut off, and also because of all that, actually rely on the infantry cadets a little bit more. So to me,
Mhm.
the way it was set up felt very much like you're right, people make it worse, but it felt like two different, like I'm Army Air Force, like you have to work together, but both of their strengths are cut off. Like,
Right.
and it does. I'm assuming there would be like an arrogance to some level on one end. but maybe
I
not.
mean, I feel like every branch kind of thinks they're the best. To my understanding, based on all of my research and statistics, um, I I have been told that the ranking goes from best to worst:
Hmm.
Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, and then
Coast Guard.
uh yeah,
Yeah, Coast Guard.
yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
As far as like cushiest or as far as like
Elite,
superiority?
elite level.
I my understanding of it was that it was Marines, Air Force, Navy, Army, then Marine. Or I think we can all agree that like Coast Guard generally ends at the bottom of that. But
At
no,
least
no
we,
offense,
at least
I could not guard our coast. I all gratefulness and everything to all our Coast Guard. That's not me. I'm just saying I feel like we both
yes.
heard the same as far as that. But
Oh, on that note, what did we say that we were like helping America with this week over text?
oh,
What was that?
oh my gosh. Oh, we were. Oh gosh, I can't
Oh,
remember.
it was the short. It was the short. It was the short about last week. And we were just like, hey, maybe we shouldn't post this short on Instagram
Oh yes.
in regards to how RSC was very similar to a training school that they do in the Army. And we just didn't want to post it just in case. We just didn't
Someone
want more
we didn't want
publicity on it, I
anyone
guess.
because Ellie specifically says if I tell you what happens, I can't tell you the name or vice versa.
Yeah.
And because I said
Which
I
it
want
should
to
be
know what
fine.
happens,
But we're just playing it safe. We're just
just
playing
in
it safe
case,
as we
just
do.
we didn't want anyone who actually knew the name of the training or the class, whatever, to be like, oh yeah, isn't that blah blah blah, and like post about
Yeah.
it. Not that any terrorists or anyone is actually like monitoring our hey what anyone that could okay I redact the word terrorist. Anyone with ill will wishes towards America would be listening to our podcast or following our
This is a
Instagram.
mess. This is a mess. But so we in line of us not posting that, we were like, "You're welcome, America. We're
Yeah,
just doing our part. We're
serving
just
those who serve us,
serving."
really. Like we think we're hilarious. I don't know if anyone else actually does.
That's okay. It's
I know it's fine. But back to the real story. um okay, granted, I've never been face to face with a dragon in real life. So this is my
what?
very, I know, it's shocking. This is my very limited opinion, I guess. But multiple times in both books, people have been told not to run when they're in the presence of a dragon. Yet everyone runs. Do you think in a situation where with Bade, where Bade was there, like everyone was scared that Bade was going to kill them, and
Mhm.
then that one infantry cadet ran, do you think you would have run? Or do you think if you, I'm putting myself in the position of infantry. These riders know way more about dragons than I do. They're telling me to not move and to look straight down. I'm not running. I'm
Yeah.
listening to what they tell me to do.
No, 100%. My heart tells me I would listen, and I actually think truly if I was in this situation, I would not run. However, I have been face to face with a lizard, and you bet your ass I was booking it out of there.
That is not the same at all.
I recognize that. They're so much smaller and so much slimier. So,
And
yeah, I don't think
so
I
much
would run
less
from a
fire.
dragon. So much less. So much less. But
I just think like even if I mean I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be scared. I would be
I would pee
crapping
my
myself.
pants.
Like actually
Yeah.
I would be. But I think if anything, I would be too scared to move. Like
Your
I don't
freeze.
at the very least the reason I wouldn't move is because I would be too scared to. But
Yeah.
best case scenario is I would listen to what the people who know what they're talking about is telling me,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't move for
Oh,
that
I
reason.
kind of am also a I follow the crowd situation person. So if everyone was frozen, I'm not going to be the odd man out saying I know better. I'm going to run, or not even better. But I would follow like if everyone got in an elevator and they were faced the opposite direction, I also would go in the elevator facing that same direction. I'm
Oh,
a
follower.
Yeah,
Just
but
kidding.
there's a different peer pressure
Yes. Okay.
affects me.
Side note, totally switching gears here. I was listening to Wife of Crime this week,
Yeah.
and
Love Wife of Crime.
I was listening to the cult, one of their cult episodes, and
Mhm.
they were talking about how, because Russ thinks everyone that's in a cult is dumb. He doesn't understand it, but Jess was trying to explain, like, it's not that you're dumb, it's more of the conforming and like the peer
Mhm.
pressure kind of thing is a reason that people fall into these, and
Yeah.
also a combination of just wanting to feel connected to something. But they did a scientific study about similar, like a controlled, quote unquote, controlled test where there was like 6 people, and 5 of them knew what was happening and 1 of them didn't. And so the
Mm.
test was, they are shown a picture of a line, and then they're giving 4 options, and they say to pick which one matches the original picture. And the
Mhm.
first 5 people are all told to pick number 2 or whatever, a line that did not match the original picture. But
Yeah.
they're just told to say that, and the last person has no idea what's going on. They weren't told anything. And 2 out of 3 times the last person just says the same number because they're like, well, maybe I'm missing something. If all these people think that that one looked the same, even if I don't,
Mm.
maybe it's me. So a
Yeah.
majority of people will conform to whatever's happening versus being
Got
like,
it.
that's not what I saw. And those are
Yeah.
the that's how it's like a little bit more easy able to understand like why people would fall into cults. So you talking about
Yeah.
that just reminded me of this.
Yep.
Totally off
So that proves my point.
kilter.
I probably would not run because
Yeah,
majority is standing. And there it
agreed.
is.
So
Chapter
then
15.
they fail and nab. But
Bummer.
Sawyer asked a question that made me nervous. He said, does it bother anyone else that they just took away our bonds, our signets? They then handed them back to us like it wasn't, and then it does the dot dot dot, and Violet answers violating. And
Mhm.
then Tairn also confirms that that was a new development this year, one that he wasn't a fan of. That made me so nervous for the direction that this was headed with everything that Varish was already doing
I think we
to
find
Violet.
out right there that, yeah, it's a training tool, but realistically, that's a new weapon, and
Exactly.
we do not like.
Yeah, sure, it's a training tool. That's how they're going to present it. But Violet
Mhm.
knows they're trying to kill her and all the other people that she was with. They're
Exactly,
absolutely going
and
to. I think that would make me scared to eat or drink anything moving
yeah,
forward.
yeah. Also, I'd be scared just because Violet was poisoning all the food. Your food is so vulnerable at Biscayeth.
No
I
one knew that she was
lose a
poisoning
lot
it,
of weight.
though. True. No one knew that she was poisoning it, though. We know, but no one else really
We
knew.
know.
We
Man,
know
Violet makes
everything.
me so paranoid. I'll tell you what.
Hey, just
Okay,
don't be on her
chapter
bad
16.
side, and you're good.
I know.
Um,
I know.
so yeah, Violet and Jessinia are talking, and I love that Jessinia came to the conclusion that something was going on in regards to like
Mhm.
books being missing from the archives and everything on her own and without
Yeah.
Violet, excuse me, dragging her into what's happening. And because of that, immediately I was no longer suspicious of Jessinia. I know I said
Yeah.
last episode that I was skeptical of her, as I am most people, but immediately that situation made
She's
me
better. Mhm.
forgive and forget. I was like, you're good.
What about the murder? What murder?
Exactly. Jessinia. No, couldn't be her.
Couldn't be.
Um, Nolan, though, and his unexplainable tiredness slash busyness is brought up again by Rhiannon. Did you? I know we talked about your theories on the last episode, but did you have any other
Mhm.
theories at this point as to why he
No.
was? Yeah,
No, they didn't dive more into it, so my theories remained consistent.
yeah. I'm like, this is gonna be something bigger, but I have
Yeah.
nothing right now.
I redact the word consistent. I've had time to think and reflect. Constant.
Okay. But I will say this time we're getting every time they bring it up, I feel like we're getting a little bit more.
Mhm.
Rhiannon mentioned this time that the quote unquote secret room is the secret room that he has with Varish. I don't think last
Yeah.
time, I don't know if his name was brought up or not, and I know Riddick still has the theory that they're torturing people,
No, it
or maybe
wasn't
that was
brought up yet.
Rhiannon,
Yeah.
but um, anyways, I don't know. I was just wondering if you had any further theories at this point because I
I
didn't.
then thought that whatever they're doing is malicious. I
Oh yeah.
at first maybe thought Nolan was saving people, but this
That's
did
true.
confirm to in my mind that it was something evil.
That's a good point. Um,
Yeah.
so all right, I'm gonna be honest here. Shifting gears,
Mhm.
still chapter, but shifting gears here. The side plot of everyone protecting Sloane started to get
Mhm.
really boring to me. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Um, I told you from the beginning, if we would remember, that I didn't like that they were all saving Sloane because I thought
That's
this
true.
is a lot of work to add on to everything, and here we are, we're reading about all the work, and yet we're adding on Sloane. But actually, no, I changed my mind here. I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. So yes, yes, but no, because I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. It was such. I mean, they're making concoctions. Imogen's really the one working with Sloane. Violet's really not doing much to
Not
help her.
yet.
They're all just they're pulling weight. They're pulling their own weight to help
Well,
her. So,
so yes, at this point it's mostly Violet still though. I think maybe Rhiannon's helping her
mhm.
a little bit, but Imogen hasn't started helping training her yet. That happens at the end of this chapter. Um, but regardless, I'm just like it's the same thing as the last book. Violet's using her
Yeah,
concoctions like she did on her own, and it's not that it was just I felt a little boring to me because we've already gone through this with Violet,
yeah.
but Violet saved herself. Like Sloane is so stubborn and thinks that she's actually really good when she's not. Like
She's not.
she's not, like after the challenge is over and Sloane quote unquote wins.
Yeah,
Violet's like, you only won because I helped you, and she's like, no, you didn't. It was all me. And it was like, you're so stupid. Like, why do you think she
yeah.
like got dazed and confused for a sec? Like,
I know.
obviously you did not do this on your own. But I just feel like she has this like twisted sense of understanding of how not great she is. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
So it's just
Don't
the
we all
whole.
though? Aren't we
I
all
didn't hate
just a
it.
little bit fluffed in the mind with
I
how
guess
great we are when in reality we're all chumps here?
that's true. Yeah, I guess that's very realistic. Then I don't know. I just to me it was like a little bit. It started to feel like filler for the
Yeah,
story. But
sure.
there was one line though in this that made me absolutely cringe.
Let's
Um,
hear it.
Violet is talking to Sloane about how she's going to train with Imogen, and she says, "You're going to train so you don't get yourself killed. Not with me. I don't need you to. I don't even need to be part of your development era." I was like,
You must not be a Swiftie, is what I'm gathering from this sentence.
I appreciate Taylor Swift, but I'm not a Swiftie.
That's to me, that's such a T Swizzy plug from
Well,
Rebecca,
exactly,
the era.
exactly.
I
That's what I'm
loved
saying.
it.
No, it
This
felt
is a part of history. She is doing the Eras tour. We need to have this
herstory,
written in a book.
part of herstory. No, it just felt I think like that's okay. Back to the whole reason like why I don't or why we might not like most books written by a 28-year-old is because it feels too relevant. Like I don't want to read
That's
about a
fair.
book where TikTok is in it. I don't want to read about a book where they're using
Yeah.
Riz or I don't even know what half these things mean, but like they're using words that are relevant. So
Yeah.
I can appreciate if Rebecca Yarros is a Swiftie and that she used this as a plug. That's fine, but
Yeah.
it absolutely I didn't like it for what this book was. Like this is
Sure.
a
That's
fantasy book about dragons, not Taylor Swift's era. Like
I validate that. Yes, I totally agree with you. Yes.
so
In
it
my
just I
opinion,
cringed
I don't
so
care that
hard.
much. It's cute, but
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
I just cringed so hard when I read it.
Yeah.
But I did like that she used Liam's letters to incentivize her. I feel like
I
that was
did
super smart and
too.
really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That was good. I loved
yeah,
it. And then Varish,
major butt
or
licker.
as you like to say, there it is. Back at it
Um,
again, taunting Violet,
yep.
and even calling out that the rash of attacks in the last few weeks all seem to be focused on those that went missing in the war game. So he's really playing with her. We see
I
that.
just I know, and I'm just like I mean we've already even talked about this. Like I feel like it was pretty obvious to us like who was being targeted, but now like for him to
Hmm.
even like be like joking around and calling that out, I'm just like
Yeah.
I don't expect much of him, but that was just low.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then Violet and Xaden are kept apart again because he has 24-hour duty in the operations center and Violet doesn't have clearance.
So
Now
she's
I'm
there.
tallying.
I know.
Yeah.
She's at Samara and literally can't even see him.
And I'm glad Mira's there too. I think
Not
that gives
yet.
her chances to see her sister.
No, she's not there
Oh, she.
yet.
I'm
Ellison.
sorry, everyone.
I mean, I would
Delete it.
assume that they've read these chapters by the time they're reading this, but that just
Okay.
doesn't happen yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, but so boring for her.
Yeah.
But
I
that's 2 weeks
loved,
now. They haven't seen
yeah,
each other. Hate that.
at least, oh, we didn't bring this up, but at least Tairn was able to see Sigale for a little bit while she was
Yeah.
doing her land nav stuff, but he wasn't comfortable leaving her for longer than that, which I get.
Yeah.
But, so then next chapter, 17, right off the bat, oh my gosh, this is my favorite Imogen moment so far. She
Mm-hmm.
puts Violet in her place in the best way and gives her the best advice I feel like anyone in this book has given to anyone else in this book so far.
Uh-huh.
That Violet is essentially, she gives Violet like what a length of a hallway to complain about her relationship with Xaden, and
Mm-hmm.
Violet's saying stuff like how she just doesn't trust him, he won't give her whatever, blah blah blah. Then Imogen's literally just like, okay, I'm just stopping it. Like, just stop. She's like, obviously, what Xaden is doing, like how Xaden's making you like not tell people things, it clearly isn't
Mm-hmm.
working because that's what he's doing to you, and your guys' relationship is non-existent really because of it. So like, it's clearly
Right.
not the right answer. So
Mm-hmm.
you do what you need to do. And like Rhiannon's standing right over there. She's like, clearly Rhiannon needs you. You need her. So like,
Mm-hmm.
just cut the crap. Like, be
Right.
friends. Like, if Xaden's telling you to do one thing,
Oh,
you don't have to listen to him. I'm just like,
and I'm
yes.
so glad. I know this is your bullet point, but I truly was just going to say this. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that she said that because I loved Rhiannon and Violet's friendship, and the secrecy was
Yeah.
pulling them apart, and I felt it as if this was my friend that's pulling
Yeah.
away from me. It hurts. And so I'm so glad that Violet kind of got this. It's okay. If you want to
Yeah.
tell her, like, make up the friendship. I loved
I
it.
will say it doesn't happen as quickly. I wish it happened like right after this where Violet was like, you're right, and
Yeah.
then just tells Rhiannon and everything. Like, that doesn't happen yet, but at least there was some reality check for the
Mhm.
situation for us as the readers. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
all right, so then they go to battle brief and Rhiannon has this notice that she got from her family, saying not to talk to strangers. What did you think was going to happen from that?
I didn't really think anything was going to happen from that. I mean, I think it's just alluding to there's stuff going on that the
Hmm.
the people at Biscayth don't know about, and so
I felt like
be
it's not
on
that they didn't
alert.
know about, it was like that they're withholding. I was excited when she brought this notice
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't know. I have a feeling that Professor De Vera is good, that she doesn't
Yeah.
actually know what's happening. She is on the right side of history, but she just isn't aware. I know
Professor De
Markham,
Vera
though.
is Professor McGonagall in this book
Yes!
to me.
I was just about to
Yes.
say that. She looks different. She does not as old, obviously, in my head, because she's still a writer.
Yeah.
But, actually, this is not very flattering for her, and I don't know why I think this, but she's a human. So, like, I don't think she actually looks like this, but she kind of reminds me, her face, at least how I picture it, is like
Mhm.
the dean in Monsters University, the like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
centipede thing. I don't know, just kind of, it's just like really pointy. Like, she has really, in my
Yeah.
mind, has pointy cheekbones, a really pointy chin, um, but she is still human. Like, she has like
Yeah.
skin, not red like of cockroach skin. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
human flesh, but that's just how I picture her, really pointy. So, side
That's
note, I
fair.
guess.
Yep.
Didn't listen to whatever description we got from her, and that's where my mind went.
Nah,
Um,
that was we skimmed.
but back to the propaganda, or not propaganda, but Markham spins it as propaganda from the Paromish people of them just trying to sneak into our borders to
Mm,
um, take us down from the inside. and that they're like lying about all these attacks that they're seeing from dragons, which we know they're not
Mm-hmm.
lying about, but that they're also not dragons, they're wyvern. And I thought it made me so mad how he spun it because it's so believable. Like,
Yeah.
the story he's giving to them, I totally understand why no one would question anything. Like, and that's
Yeah.
what makes me so angry about it because I'm like, dang it, that's a good lie. Like, I want people to see through all this crap, but they're making it really hard to.
Mm-hmm.
So the next chapter, Xaden and Violet finally get some time together. And Xaden learns because he shows up in a room and she's not expecting him until later.
Mm-hmm.
And he learns that Violet's been researching about the wards and how to get them up in Erasure, and he's upset. Which part of me gets it, part of me doesn't. Because I'm like, you have
None
secrets
of me
too,
gets
buddy.
that. Literally, you brought her in on this operation. Clearly,
Yeah.
she's in it. She knows what's going on.
She's
She
also not
wants to help.
stupid.
Would you
Yeah,
even be into her if she didn't have the
exactly.
personality trait of someone who wants to fight for the things that they love and the things that they know
Exactly.
are right? No. So
Yeah.
why are you mad? And also she's doing a very like she could be doing a lot more dangerous activities to help the cause, but she's looking up books. And
Well, to be
I know
fair,
that requires the trust of the scribe too, but
it's not even just that,
we
it's that
have that.
yeah, well, but he doesn't know that, so I'll give him a little bit of credit there. But also,
Okay.
he makes a comment too that like he's like, there's so much we could do, but the archives are the heartbeat of the enemy, is exactly what he
Yeah,
says. And he's not wrong, but I just feel like he should give Violet a little bit more credit. Like her
exactly.
strength is her mind. She's getting a lot stronger physically, but
Mhm.
the whole reason she was able to survive outside of him and a few others like shielding her was her like intelligence and how she thought
Yeah.
through things and thought to do things differently. So I'm like, at least give her some credit here. Like, I understand but he was also only upset because he loves her and he's upset with,
I
or
know.
he's nervous about her getting in trouble. But
Ugh,
I
I
will
know.
say, I do think it was pretty narrow minded of him to think that weapons were the answer and not wards. Um,
Yes.
like weapons that like only rely or only is helpful if they can get enough over to them, which they know is not realistic. But
I have
wards can
a
shield all of Eurasia and maybe even surrounding like places and stuff. I don't know. To me, it felt
yeah.
like I'm like, okay, Xaden, like you see the bigger picture in a lot of things. Like you're better than this one. Come on.
Yeah. I actually have a hot take on what you said about Xaden being mad at Violet and because he just loves her and doesn't want her to be in danger. You know who else loved Violet so much and didn't want her to be in danger?
You know what?
Dane.
You're not wrong. That's true.
And I know like they'll fight about this later, but this behavior
That
is
was a little Danish. You're right. Danish.
we
I can't. Oh, now I'm hungry.
I am too. All right,
Okay,
let's keep
I'm just
going.
no. My favorite Danish ever though. So random.
Oh,
It's
this
the
does need
cheese
to be said,
Danish.
please.
Cheese Danish from Starbucks. It's so random, and I've had cheese Danishes and other kinds of Danishes from many of other cafes and like
Yeah.
what some would consider to be more elite establishments. Nothing compares to the Starbucks cheese Danish. So go get one. And hopefully
I'll
Starbucks
battle
sponsors us
you
at
on
some
that.
point.
You go to Publix, you go to the bakery area. In the glass containers, they have an almond bear claw.
Ooh,
You take
that
that
sounds
out, you
good.
take it home, you warm it up. It is so two chef's kisses. So good.
Okay, I will say though, it's kind of hard to compare the two because one is more of a savory sweet and the other is just like a sweet sweet. So like I
That's
would
true.
never put them together because I'm in completely different
Couldn't
moods
possibly.
when
Yeah.
I want them. But I will say that sounds very good. Almond bear claw.
There you
Okay,
go.
I need to move on. Um, so then after that, they start kind of fighting, and Rihanna and Sawyer and Riddick show up at her room, and I literally laughed out loud as I was reading this entire like next conversation because Xaden and Violet start fighting in their minds or through their bond, But
Uh-huh.
Riddick and Rhiannon and Sawyer are just standing there staring at them, and they're just looking at each other. And
I didn't read it like this, but as you describe it to me, it's so much funnier than I
oh my
thought.
gosh. Okay, literally, I'm picturing myself as Sawyer or Riddick, even like one of them, because they're just kind of Violet. I mean, we know what they're saying, but I'm picturing they're just literally standing there looking at them for a while. Xaden and Violet go back and forth like 10 times before Sawyer goes, "What's going on?" out loud. And then Riddick goes, "I think they're fighting." But they still don't stop. It cuts back to Xaden and
Uh-huh.
Violet fighting in their mind. And then Ree goes out loud, "They're not even speaking." And they're still just staring at each other.
Just imagine 3
This
people
got
in the
me.
middle of the room between them, just like
Exactly. This felt like an office bit or something. Like, it
absolutely.
just was so. I'm laughing out loud as I'm reading this in the book, and I love that it made me feel emotions other than like frustration or even like happiness. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that this book made me feel joy
Yeah,
and like
humor. Right.
laughter. Um,
Yeah.
so that was so funny. And also, I'm gonna say, side note, I didn't even realize until this moment that Violet hadn't told Ree about the mental bond between Tairn,
That's
Sigale, Violet, and
that is more
Xaden.
of what I was thinking in this moment. So I didn't
Hmm.
even catch the humor because I was like, this is so weird. I'm surprised they have not figured out that they can talk in their minds yet.
Exactly. But that was, I mean, I don't think, as far as I remember, I'm probably
Hmm.
wrong, but there hadn't been a mated pair of dragons that had bonded with two people. I don't know, maybe not.
I
I
don't
don't know, but
know.
no one. It's just a very uncommon occurrence. So
Right.
not everyone's gonna, especially two dragons as strong as Sigale and Tairn.
Hmm.
So I mean, unless you're in that situation, you're not gonna assume they can mentally talk to each other the same way that you can talk with a dragon.
Yeah. Hey,
So
you want to think about something that's really sad? Um, I was this tied to me thinking about Violet and Xaden and how like wow, we're really lucky that they fell in love because if they stay together forever, that's
oh
awesome. They'll never, want to be apart from each other. But then I was thinking, what if they grow to like old age? You know how dragons are hundreds of years old? Tairn knows that once Violet hits her old age, if she dies from old age, when she dies, he'll die, which will cause Sigale to die, which will cause Xaden to die, or all
if
the whole chain
yep,
reaction. But they know that this is their last rider, this is the last dragon. They will all
I
die
know.
together, even from old age, which is crazy because dragons live so long. But I
That's
guess
why
they
they
have
don't
to hit a point with
usually.
such a strong bond.
Well, that's why. Yeah, that's why. Depending on, I guess, how strong their initial bonds are, they can bond a few times. But also why they don't usually bond until later. I'm actually more
Yeah,
sad for Andarna because she bonded as a Feathertail. So
yeah,
she might live through Violet dying, but if they're bonded
yeah,
Violet's entire life, I highly doubt that she won't die too. And she's only going to be, I mean, from when she hatched, what, like 80? I don't know how old Violet is, but like she'll have
I
a
would
very
think
human
that she
lifespan.
would live. I would think she would live because they
I don't
talked
know.
about how Tairn was really, really bonded to his last rider and it almost killed him. So this one will definitely, I would think that she could survive at least one really strong bond
Yeah,
death.
but he was super close to his last rider. One, that wasn't his first rider either, and two,
Yeah.
um, the guy died in battle, so he didn't live his entire lifespan. I think
Yeah.
if Naolan, something, whatever, had lived
Yeah.
to be 80, Tairn probably would have died too. So
Could be. It's
you're,
really sad to think about. You don't think about old age killing them.
I know that's true. Well, on that
Yeah.
depressing
Anyways.
note, Xaden and Violet leave and they go to meet Jessinia, and they run into
Hmm.
Nolan, and Violet comments on how tired he looks, and Nolan responds saying, and I quote, "It's hard work mending a soul. Been at it for months now." Did you think much of that as when you were reading it, like that it was
Now that I
weird and him
know,
joking? Well, Ellie,
I won't. But well, I already did, I guess.
I didn't catch that at
Wow.
all.
No, I didn't either. That's my mouth
But
just dropped when you read that. Wow.
Like, I will say though, the first time I read this, I didn't really think too much into it, but I also didn't really feel like a joke. Like, I think that
Yeah.
they were trying to set it up as like a joke, but it didn't feel
I thought
funny.
he was talking about himself, like, "Oh, I'm mending
Oh,
my soul to try
that's
to
true.
heal myself
But
because
from
I'm
what?
so tired." Just
But
from
then,
tiredness and
but why is he
depletion.
tired? Like, I don't know. I didn't.
Exactly. That's the underlying question.
True. You're not wrong. But I don't know. But then Caroline Ashton, aka Jack's friend, runs
Oh, I
and
didn't
meets
know who
up
she
with him.
was.
Oh, you didn't remember?
Okay. No,
I
I
feel
was
like
like, "Who?"
I feel like Rebecca Yarros brought her up randomly a couple of times after Jack died, specifically so that we would remember who she was in this moment.
Yeah.
But
This needs to be said as well. We have not talked about this, but I Rebecca had she kind of character bombed me. I feel like there were too many characters with all these really funny names, and there were so many. There were so many. She even named the person that was watching Xaden fight the guy while Violet was like, "Oh, he won't lose," that we just talked about. She named that person. Are we ever going to meet her again? Why does she need a name? There's so many names and so many
we might.
characters, and then there's so many places. There's so many places too. It's just a lot. It's a lot for my little mind to
It's
wrap
a lot.
all. Yeah.
It's a lot, but first off, we don't. This is only book 2 of 5. We don't know if that
Yeah,
lieutenant's still
as
going to
if
come
I'm
back
gonna
or not.
remember the one instance that she met. She's gonna have to say, "Oh, you're this person from that
She
time that
probably
Xaden was
will.
fighting." Then that's fine. That's fine. But if you never bring it up, Rebecca, I'm mad at you.
I I will say the places get confusing for me, but that's also because I read on my Kindle, so it's not quite as easy to just flip back to the map to see
Oh,
everything like
yeah.
as they're talking about it. So the places and like talking about, oh my gosh, they're gonna take over Perome or whatever, Tirandor or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just like, that doesn't really mean much to me because I can't physically see where that's at as like next to the border. But the names aren't as hard for me to remember. I don't know. I don't
It's
feel like it's over the top. There's a lot, but this is an entire world she's building.
I know, but I just kind of and I hate it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's poor writing to me in the sense
Ugh.
that we're jumping so quickly between places. Like for example, and I hate this again that I'm comparing, but Throne of Glass, they had tons of places that they went to, tons. But she hit it hard talking about this place, the description of the place, the meaning of the place, and you remembered the name. And then they would go somewhere else and she would do the same thing and they would come back, but you remembered both places. And she filtered them in very gracefully to where I remembered every single place and knew where they were at on the map and all that, but didn't have to flip back to the map constantly to find out, oh, where is this? I would look at it once, but then remember, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's what she said about this. So this was I didn't even remember what Ressin was. Like I was like, oh, that's the place that they fought the Venom. But it took me 3 references to where they were talking about Ressin before I realized, oh, that's that. Oh, okay. And maybe
Yeah.
I'm just dumb. But for me, it was very difficult to keep up with the names and the places and all this. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, you're not dumb, but
Thank
I
you.
do I do think that some authors are better at it than others. I think Sarah J. Maas is probably better. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
I can't speak to it because I haven't read Throne of Glass yet, but um
You're gonna love it.
based
I can't
I
wait
was
till you read it.
even based on reading the Akatar series, like there weren't nearly as many situations reading that where I was confused about a place as I am
Right.
here. Um,
Yeah.
but I just think there's some strengths. I will say though, I think Sarah or Rebecca Yarros has done a better job for me at least at
Mm-hmm.
creating a main female character that I can connect with and relate with. And I
Yeah.
feel like she does a better job at making just the book relatable, more relatable in
Absolutely.
general.
Absolutely.
So every author is going to have their strengths, and I guess it's just like, what do you prefer? Like,
Right.
I don't know, but I don't want to. They're both very gifted, and so I don't want to take anything away from either of them. But I agree. I think
Yeah.
there were a lot of people, and some people just remember things easier than others. So like, I don't know.
Yep.
The people didn't confuse me as much, but the places did.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I criticized, but it was still a great book. I
yeah.
still like it. I'll
it's
recommend
really
it.
easy for me to be like, I would have done that differently, but also
Yeah.
knowing in the full well that I literally could never have done anything close to
I
what
could
is.
absolutely not do that.
But okay, so then moving on, Violet and Xaden meet with Jessinia, whatever, they leave. And Violet makes a comment that he hold on, let me read. Xaden hasn't ever, or I realize Xaden hasn't actually ever told her that he loves her, because she says like something like he wants all this trust from me, but he hasn't even told me that he loves me. And I was like, it, again, just the realization, I'm like, oh my gosh, he never has.
Yeah.
And okay, so with that, did it bother you that Xaden is withholding himself from her because she won't say that I love you when he has literally never said it to her?
100%. And I also was on the same page that I didn't realize he hadn't. I
Yeah.
did realize, but I thought it was an implied thing
Yes.
because she never
Exactly.
voiced any issue. So
Exactly.
until she actually voiced the issue, I thought it is an issue.
You know
Why
what? You're
haven't? And then I
right.
was mad. Why aren't you saying it? Why are you expecting all this from her? This is not 90%, 10% relationship. You have to give
Yes.
some.
I did. I think I said it maybe once in the last episode, but I did again right here. Only a couple of times in this so far have I been irritated with Xaden, but this is
Mm-hmm.
probably the most that I had ever been irritated with him. I'm like, you cannot expect so much from someone without giving it to them. I understand his thought process on like he even says previously when they were doing like in the shower or whatever, even last year he would have used any tactic imaginable to get her to trust him and like all that stuff, but he wants her heart more than, like, I get it. I understand
Yeah.
keeping himself from her, but I don't understand all the secrets, keeping himself from her, and then him also wanting her to say I love you without him being willing to give on just one of those things. I'm like,
Ugh.
it honestly made me
Yes.
want, at that point, I'm like, you know what, Violet? You need to double down. Like, I get it
Yeah.
now. I'm glad that you're stronger
Exactly.
than I was and didn't give in before, because you
Yeah.
deserve a little bit more at this point. Like, but
Yep.
um
100%.
then okay, so I know I said earlier that we would revisit this. Tairn at the
Not
beginning of
Tairn.
Tairn, ugh, Tairn at the top of chapter 19 entered my top 3 favorite characters for what he did to Solace, and by
This is when he bit his neck.
connection,
And thank
Varish.
goodness, because they need to be humbled a little bit. Are you
Oh my
kidding? You are
goodness.
not top dog. What is
No,
happening?
I know. He bites his neck.
Ugh.
And, but like, he becomes my top 3 favorite because it's not just that he got Violet out of being punished again because Andarna didn't show up.
Hmm.
He bites Solace and continues to hold on until Varish is on his knees begging Violet for forgiveness and apologizing. Like,
Hmm.
that, talk about a power move. And I
I know.
love,
I love when strong characters enforce their power. I love it.
well, and I love that we know how strong he is, and he obviously, everyone else knows how strong he is, but he is very selective on when he chooses to
Yeah.
then enforce that power. So when he does, it makes a statement, and boy, did this make a statement.
I know. Oh, so good. And it's just finally Varish gets a little bit of what do you say? You say
Comeuppance.
something. No, you say another thing. His just desserts.
Duh, yes, he gets his
And
just desserts.
ooh, he needed it. He needed it.
He sure
So,
did.
yeah, I
Except
loved it.
then Violet makes this comment and said, Varish may have been my enemy before, but I have a feeling that this just made Solace my nemesis. Didn't know how that was possible, but it felt foreshadowy to me. I look into
I thought it
everything
was
too much.
very outright. I honestly thought it was like, no, that's absolutely a threat that he is going to try to kill her at some point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it didn't make sense to me how, I guess dragons don't. Never mind. I'm fixing my own confusion in my head. But dragons
Yeah.
don't answer to humans. I was like, how could a dragon kill her without the human being behind it? But that's on me. I take it back. And then Violet lays into Ree for trying to be a good friend, but I also feel like she needed to unload because she is essentially just like hits her breaking point. It's just like, you don't understand. And Rhiannon's like, yeah, because you won't talk to me. And she's like, because you don't get it. And just unload.
Yeah.
This is at that point in the book where she tells Rhea, like, this place, it makes sense. Like the gauntlet, all of it makes sense more now because you have to be able to be okay to some extent with your friends dying. Like in the moment, you have to be able to compartmentalize and move on and finish what you're doing and everything. So I don't know. I just felt I didn't like that they still hadn't been open and honest with each other, but it felt like Violet needed that still.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
It's tricky because on one hand, I think they can trust Rhiannon, but it's not even a matter of will Rhiannon be trustworthy? It's how much danger will this put her in? But I kind of
Exactly.
feel like I'm pulling a Reese, and everyone needs to have a choice, you know?
Exactly.
So I think she should have told her. I do think she needed to unload, but I think she should have been more honest with unloading and like, this is why you don't understand. But we'll just let them work it out.
To play devil's advocate a little bit more though, as far as like Reese giving everyone a choice versus Violet, the difference I think between Reese giving Feyre a choice is he wasn't concerned about other people finding out information from Feyre. Like there wasn't this like air of I don't know who I can trust. No one actually knows the truth. You know what I mean? Like other than Valaris, that was like the only thing where it's like I'm really trusting you on this.
Yeah.
But like at that point, I guess we as the reader, we knew Feyre wasn't gonna do anything like with that. So I guess that's like the little bit I guess I kind of understand. She's only not telling her for her own safety, and it's because she loves Rhea and she doesn't want anything to happen to her. But I do agree, like that I should have given her a little bit more credit, I think.
100%.
But so then last chapter, chapter 20. This chapter opens 20. Up. I know we talked about this in the last episode about how randomly throughout the rest of the chapters there will get a little excerpt from the letters that Xaden writes her, and this one opens up. This one opens up with probably my favorite one. It says it's a little long, but it says, "In the years after my father died, I forgot what it felt like to be loved." Still there, screaming to use every ruthless part of me to get your words back. And my God, if I wouldn't have folded right then and there, again, I'm a weak woman. I would have been like, I love you, I love you, I love you. I would have been like, Will Ferrell and Elf, I love you, I love you, I love you. Wow. That I almost teared up just reading that part because, oh man, it makes you feel for him, but then it makes you understand, and then it makes you want it, and I'm gonna cry thinking about it. It just was so good.
Cue our real husbands popping in.
Go away, not right now. Oh man,
yeah, it was so sweet.
good.
I loved that.
So then after Violet gets to Samara and learns that Mira, now we learn that she was transferred there.
Sorry, everybody. Now she's here.
Now she's here. That's when Mira realizes that they're not just sleeping together, but she's actually like in love with him. And then they are throwing the knives or whatever, and they're talking. Do you think that you would have been able to keep the secret of Brennan being alive from Mira if she was your sister?
I'm trying
not
to
your own. I know you have a brother and a sister. I'm not your own family dynamics. If you were Violet, do you think you would have been able to keep that?
Survey says no. It would have spilled out of me. I would not keep my trap shut. Everyone's life would be at risk. C'est la vie.
Gosh, I don't know. I think me and my sister are very, very close. And I think it would, so I'm even like just personally, I think I would have had a really hard, I don't think I would have if I was Violet. If I was myself, yes. But if I was Violet, I don't think I would have because she is able to think big picture.
Yeah.
And understand that it's bigger than just a sister withholding information from a sister. But especially knowing like how close Mira and Brennan were, it would have been so hard to not say something. Ugh.
No, I
I
would
don't
have
know.
immediately told. And I would have hoped, I think we know that Mira is always on Violet's side. She's always wanting to defend Violet. I know there's the risk of,
Yeah.
is her heart more for country than it is for family, but I really think Mira trends towards doing the right thing. And so I would think that Violet knew her sister well enough to be able to explain the situation, explain what's happening, and that also Brennan is alive. And if but two siblings were fighting on one end, it would give you enough to pause and think, what am I fighting for then? And are they right? If both my siblings are, and my father, we find out, are all concerned for this cause.
Yeah. I just think, especially after the next conversation that they have about, like, she's testing the waters about, like, asking about the wards and if she knows how they operate. And because, I mean, her signet is essentially being a ward, a shield.
Yeah.
And then she even asks, like, says something like, yeah, like, haha, but what if Wyvern are real? And Mira's just like, are you sleeping well? She's like, not at all, like,
does
playing
not
in,
take it.
like,
Yeah.
she's not, you can tell she's not questioning anything. I think that would have given me enough to hold on to and to keep it a secret. Because you're right. I think last book I was very much in the camp, and I said this on our podcast, in the camp of that I thought Mira would choose Navarre over Violet, even though I know it'd be a terrible choice for her. I just thought she would choose it. But after now in this book, I'm leaning towards thinking I was wrong again.
Yeah.
And wrong about a lot at the end of Fourth Wing. But I still don't think I would have said anything because I just don't. It wouldn't have been the right situation. Mira was not ready for that.
Yeah.
Do I think she would have ruined it? I don't know. I just think it would not have been. I don't know. It would have been way too risky at that point still for me to say anything.
Well, it is what it is. She
But
left it
then
alone.
afterwards, she goes back to Xaden's room and he doesn't get back until like midnight. It's late, but she's still awake. And I liked that this chapter ended on them having like a very honest and peaceful conversation. It was very refreshing.
Don't break up. Just be in love.
They weren't about to break up. They just said, she's like, I'm too tired to fight. So he's like, then we won't fight. And they don't. They just have a very easy conversation.
I want this all the time. I want them to be together forever. I just want them to not just be fine. It's so much more fun.
It is way more fun, I will agree. But
a little glimpse into how I speak with Grant when we're fighting. Just be fine. It's a lot more fun. Everything's just better.
I'm sure that helps. That really smooths things over.
It doesn't.
But that's how this chapter ends, and that's the end of this episode.
We love it.
Chapter 20. Oh my gosh, I just love this book so much. Thinking about it again. Ugh.
Yep.
But that's all. I hope you guys have a great week. Follow us, shout us out on the socials, on the internet. We'll read it next time.
And we will catch you next Monday.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Bye.